just when you thought the Sharks had figured out winning in regulation in Vegas again. Oh, Lordy. Well, the luck of the Irish and no lady luck in Vegas for the Sharks. This one's a rough one to take. We'll try to break it down right now on Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is St. Patrick's Day. Hi, Patty. March 17th, 2021, the San Jose Sharks looked like they had figured out the Vegas Golden Knights, but then the Knights showed how good they are with a third period comeback. We'll break it all down for you right now on Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame. We do this after every game. So teal together and interact with us and chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app. Of course, follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that SoundCloud button for the audio, and of course the Reddit, and of course follow us on the Discord after Dark, and find everything at tealtownusa.com. Hi everyone, I am Erik Kuhre. You can find me at PuckGuy14. I am joined by Mark Eisenberg. Bud. Oh lordy.
Oh boy.
you know, this is one of those games where you love to have the rivalry. You saw that, want some pound some flesh out of Curtis Gabriel and everything, but my goodness, they were coming in early on to be very physical, and I thought they, especially one hit that Radim Šimić hit on Ryan Reeves, I thought that was borderline close to getting a penalty call. Some of the calls, I'm not really going to even say officiating, because I don't think officiating was the issue here tonight, but I thought the Sharks really towed the line a little bit, especially early on in that first.
Yeah, it was basically two different games, and the Sharks just did this thing they do where they find a way to lose. They're playing a good game, playing a really good game, especially in that second period. They look like they're in control, and then I don't know what happened. They just fall apart. It's just this year's version of the Sharks.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those moments, and unfortunately, if you've been a long-time Sharks fan, you've gone through this story quite often, unfortunately, and it's one of those things where it's like, you make you feel about when you did look and beat Vegas, and Chris, you're making my point right here. When they look up the Sharks record, when they engage in extracurriculars and when they don't. When they get into that rough stuff, you get off their game. You need to get your scoring on early, and unfortunately, it just wasn't happening. He had Handemark take that high sticking penalty on Ryan Reeves. I don't even think Handemark had his stick with him. He just hit him high, and that was and then you have like silly penalties like hooking. That means you're not moving your feet. You see Kevin LeBanc with a puck over glass penalty. It's tough to take, and of course, with power plays, you need to take advantage of them. And the problem is that when you don't, it really hurts, and when you do, it hurts the other team. Shea Theodore with his fifth to make it 1-0. That was the only goal in the first period. I mean, and it looks like freaking Devin Dubnyk's having a little bit of if there's one thing that Devin Dubnyk had an issue with in these two series, in this 2-game series, was the one-timer, cross ice to get over for the one-timer, and he seemed visibly upset tonight, which I haven't seen from him too much this season. except for maybe the 7-6 game against St. Louis.
Yeah, he smashed the water bottle a few times after the goals. But I mean, that first goal, it's a fantastic shot, but at the same time, from that distance, you kind of hope your goalie's going to get it. Um, but yeah, that was absolute top corner blast. But Doobie kind of recovered a bit after that goal.
Yeah, and he looked like he was calming things down. And I think it, and granted, with Knizhov taking the late penalty, I thought that whole penalty kill kind of just reduced everybody's worry. They got out of that, and they gained some confidence out of that into the second period. And then you see 3 goals. You get Long Beach native Matt. Oh, excuse me, Long Beach native. That's you got that from Nieto, his fifth to tie it up at 1. Then Mario Ferraro with a, well, the guys called it wraparound. For his first of the season, just a minute and a half later, yeah, UMass boy, yeah. Kevin LeBanc would give them the 3-1 lead, later in the second. But what did you take from that second period? Because yes, they scored 3 goals. What was the difference between the first and the second, though? That kind of changed things up.
I thought they had bounces going their way. I thought they were really battling, which with this Sharks team, it's usually pretty obvious when they're battling. You can see them playing hard, just grinding it out in the corners or just making smart passes and like playing with speed, not necessarily being fast, but playing with speed, making smart passes. And things all came together in that second period. And you saw guys just looking like a unit, looking like a team. And then me personally, I wasn't necessarily confident I was going to carry over to the third period, but I felt good about the game the Sharks were having through 40 minutes.
Right. Yeah, and it just seemed like 3-1 lead. They finally saw Fleury. I mean, Fleury
Yeah.
had their number all season long, which I thought, okay, you got to him, just keep getting at him. You'll be fine. You'll get through this if you can just keep going for 20 minutes. And here's the problem, and this has happened with PDB teams. This happened with Todd McClellan teams. This has happened from all the way to frickin' George Kingston in 1991. The Sharks, sit uh on a 3-1 lead, don't put the pedal to the metal, and then all heck breaks loose. In Mogam Bomaru, I'm sorry if I get that name wrong, but here's one person saying, as a diehard Sharks fan, it seems Vegas has this special chemistry that no other team has. I mean, Stevenson in the first line is not a thing any other NHL club can do. Uh, you know, and it's you sense everything was going on. You started to see the shenanigans going on with it, and all of a sudden the team got distracted. You have Hurdle who drops the gloves. You have Couture who drops the gloves. And yes, you have those two guys going up against Mark Stone and uh, Jonathan Marchessault. You know,
Well,
I mean, you take 4 good goal scorers out of it, and it became like a test of which depth is better.
yeah, absolutely. And I think I might be a little bit different on this than some people. It seems to be a lot of people who are opposed to our players fighting and getting in with some of the tough stuff. I personally am not against it. I don't like the staged fighting, but I like when our players use their emotions and defend one another, which I think we saw a little bit of tonight, especially when someone's fighting Marchessault. I'll always support that because I absolutely hate that guy. But with what we saw in the third period, at least when we were taking our good players off the ice, we were trading for their good players. None of this like Kane getting taken off versus Reeves stuff. Even though who knows, maybe that would have helped because Reeves ended up scoring a goal.
Yeah. And so you see everything just started to go. You have hella dudes on the Frozen Pond. Copyright Shalane Coleman. Shalane, hope you're doing all right. And then all of a sudden, boom, Cody Glass, power play goal. Not too long into it, makes it 3-2. That builds up the momentum, and then next thing you know, there's a fight between Hurdle. Congratulations on your first fight in the NHL. I believe fighting Mark Stone. Right after that to get the guys going, and nothing happens. Then midway through the period, freaking Nicholas Haig gets his third of the season to tie it up at 3-3, and then you have another scrap with Couture and Marchessault, and it seems like the fights that the guys got into tonight, the Sharks that got into there, it makes you wonder, who, what does the fighting do for the Sharks? Doesn't really do much. For the fighting for Vegas, it did a heck of a lot, because sure enough, not even a minute after, not even, well, I take it back, not even 2 minutes after the fight between Couture and Marchessault, Ryan Reaves gets his first of the season. He gives Vegas the lead. They eventually wouldn't look back. Alec Martinez would get another power play goal, with about 5 minutes to go after Kevin Lepanc takes a stupid tripping call. I mean, these are the little mental mistakes that you can't do. These are the little mistakes you can't do that will burn you in the end.
Yeah, that Lepanc penalty was probably the most frustrating thing for me in that third period, because of the fact that it's a lazy, stupid play. I don't understand. I think the guys who were doing the broadcast got it perfectly. Like, you missed, you're down. There's no point to then swing your stick at that point in the game. In that situation, at someone's ankles, knees, or whatever, it's just like bound to result in a penalty. And it's just one of those moments that Lepanc seems to have every once in a while, where it's like laziness. I don't know what it is in his mind that takes over, but he ends up taking a stupid penalty or making a stupid mistake. And it's just one of those frustrating moments as a fan watching that play. I'm not going to necessarily label Lepanc for the whole season, because he's actually had some really big improvements, I'd say, at least on the defensive side, and also on the full ice effort. But that moment was just bad.
Yeah. And you can't have that. You can't have it. You can't have the puck over glass, which he had tonight. You can't have the hella dudes on the frozen pond. You can't have that. You can't take the hooking calls. You can't take the tripping calls, because you know what happens? And we've seen it in the 4 years that Vegas has been in the league. They will make you pay. And
Yep.
And as much as we will forever remember that 5-minute power play, that's only happened one time, where the Sharks just jumped on it and took advantage of it. You got to pay better than that. You got to play better than that. And you got to pay better for a goaltender who saved your ass all year long in Devin Dubnyk. Now, that being said, a lot of chatter going on. We have Vegas fans in here. I want to say hello to VGK Coverage. You've been with us for a very long time. Please be civil. And I'm also going to say to everybody, please take it easy. I know this rivalry is very heated. Let's take it easy in the chat. That being said, we have super chat donations. And the first one is from VGK Coverage saying Ryan Reaves loves you all. Okay, well, that's very nice. But Sonic Tonic, of course, says bleep Ryan Reaves. The thing is, so there you go. I want to make sure, make sure that gets it. Kevin saying in the chat, winning the game gets us through till the next loss. So what? Would you rather see players sticking up for each other and stopping pushovers?
I personally actually am a fan of players sticking up for one another. In a normal season where I thought the Sharks were a competitor for a Stanley Cup, maybe I'd have a different opinion. But with this team, I am a big fan of guys stepping up and defending one another. Because I feel like for the last few seasons, the Sharks have been kind of getting bullied on the ice, and it's just not fun to watch, especially when your team is losing. Like,
Right.
it almost looks sad. It's one thing to be beaten and then to at least physically punish that team in the same game. But the Sharks don't have that type of team. We are a skilled team, even though we're not as skilled as these other teams. And it just looks bad when you see a team not only hammering on us, but also beating us, sometimes handily in the scoreboard. So I actually support Gabriel being in the lineup. I like what he brings to the team. He's in a fourth line role, and he's not really taking anyone that skilled, I think, out of the lineup. And I actually support guys stepping up and defending teammates. I'm not supporting staged fighting, but I support a guy stepping up and defending his teammate and playing a physical game.
Yeah. No, and you can play a physical game, and you probably need to do that a little bit. You know, and Kevin's agreeing with you, right? Exactly, Mark. If the Sharks are contenders, I wouldn't want them fighting. They need to win. They don't need to win right now.
Exactly.
You know, and you know that's the thing is that this team isn't ready to win. They have pieces that can be dangerous. They aren't dangerous right now. They aren't. Going up against Vegas, I think it showed where they're at in the division. And you know, you got to be concerned about Timo Meyer, who went under concussion protocol. I didn't see what happened with him. Do you know offhand, or can you share with me, because I did not see it?
I know that's the hit that led to the fight, but I actually missed the hit as well. I just know the team was not happy about it, and I think it caught him up high. So, yeah, we'll have to check the replay out on that one.
Yeah, I'm looking at here that it catches him high. And if I'm looking at the right one, you know, that's the thing.
I believe he
It's
was
tough.
still briefly after the hit, but I don't know if he then went to the locker room after that. But yeah, I thought he was still out there briefly after the hit.
Yeah. And then he went under concussion protocol after that. Now, that being said, we are starting to get some of the comments out of the locker room from Mario Ferraro. Collectively, we all have to be better in the third. We have to do a better job in holding a lead. It sucks. It stings. There's always positives to take away from any game. There were mistakes that were made that we can learn from. What did you take from Ferraro tonight? He gets his first goal, but of course that third period, I think that's on everyone at this point.
Yeah, I mean, trying to put my UMass bias away, I
Oh, it's fine. Go ahead. We won't tell.
I think he's been one of the bright spots of this Sharks team this year. He was a bright spot last year, and I mean, the guy is just future, maybe not captain, but I mean captain material. And he had a great game tonight until the third period. There was some defensive breakdowns, but not just on him, across the whole team.
Right.
But I mean, for his comment, like, it's just kind of more of the same stuff we're hearing. You know, it's this period was a breakdown, that period was a breakdown. First, the beginning of the season was the second period. Now tonight it's the third period, and it's like, I think it's just a sign of what happens with teams that aren't good enough. They look good for a period here, then they don't look good for a period there. And the Sharks do have some top level talent, but they don't have the top level talent to match up with a team like Vegas right now. So you're going to see a period where the team just falls apart like this. And when emotions factor in, like usually happens with Sharks in Vegas, the team that's better a lot of times takes advantage of that.
Yep. And the depth. I mean, Vegas was fortunate to get the rules in their favor to take care of their depth. They're a damn good team. You know, hats off to Vegas. I mean, as much as it hurts, but it's tough to see. Again, we're getting some comments from the locker room now. Timo got called off the bench for concussion protocol. No Couture or Hurdle. A horrible too many men call. We gave them momentum, and it doesn't take them much. And Mark. That's what good teams have.
Yep.
You know, they create their own breaks. You can I hate using they create their own luck, but it's rough. And of course now we're starting to get the lottery pick comments, and maybe we'll have fun with the tankathon a little bit later. But as we get more comments coming in, we played hard, we stuck up for each other. The unfortunate part was losing three good players at the same time. I mean the depth kind of gets exposed in the third period.
Yeah, and like the coach said there, it was pretty much just bad timing with Hurdle, Couture, and Meyer all either being in the box or out because, like we said earlier, the team doesn't have the depth to support when those guys are not around. So it just was a bad recipe, perfect storm at the wrong time, and that's just what happens. That Vegas took advantage of it.
And Mario getting some love from Bob Bugner, saying Mario was a warrior tonight. It's unfortunate for the one he kicked in, but Mario played his heart out. And that's the one thing, with Ferraro is that he's had some rough ones going off of him this season. It seems like, but at least to see that he gets one that actually counts for the Sharks this time.
Yeah, he gets some bad bounces, and I think the team as a whole does. I mean, I would love to see a stat as to how many bounces went off of a guy in front of the net or just went behind and bounced the wrong way to a guy just waiting there. I feel like the Sharks, not that this is an excuse because usually good teams earn their bounces, but the amount of weird goals I see happen against the Sharks, it's pretty hilarious. And Ferraro has not been a benefactor of this.
Yeah, and like I said, I have such high praise for Mario Ferraro. I think he's going to be one guy that will stick for quite a while in San Jose, unless Doug Wilson finds some unbelievable way to get something else for it. Hurdle coming out was like, I like our last 5 games of hockey. Play like one team. We play together. We'll win. These are the tough losses because we played good hockey. And in this 2-game series, they played good hockey. I mean, they were in it against Vegas after Mark Stone gets that goal in the third period on Monday, and then this third period, completely just falls apart there. In that case, and to I thought they were in good ways. And Bugner, saying it, I take some great things out of both of these games. We're trending in the right direction, but this really stings right now.
I have to agree with that statement. I mean, you've definitely seen an improvement for the overall team game in the last, I'd say, month. Mm-hmm. And like we've been saying, I don't know if the team is good enough to possibly turn that into a lot better results, like stringing together 4 or 5 wins in a row. But you definitely have to be happier with how the Sharks are playing now versus some of that disastrous play we saw earlier in the season. Putting aside this third period. But I think as a whole, you're definitely seeing a better team game than you were earlier on.
Yeah. And Ruben, 21 pucks. Good to see you, bud. Yeah, MF38. I don't think that's probably a good nickname for him. Better be a career Shark. Grabbing retro jersey with his number on it tomorrow. Yeah, no, Mario, I think, has been a very popular fan favorite so far. Of course, it helps with his YouTube following. Oh, and I think somebody actually has the matching jersey. There you go. You got that from Cool Hockey, was it?
Yeah, that was back right when the season started.
So you and Ruben will be twinsies for sure. Kind of going through some more of the comments because after everything that's happened tonight, I think you want to voice your thoughts. Alex Beltran, EK65 looked good tonight with the exception of his brutal turnover in the defensive zone in the third. that won't come up. Him and Knyzhov were -2. Take that what you will. Like a Tiger, team game has improved, but it isn't because of Gabriel, although he might have inspired the team to stick up for each other. Um, Chris JWS, the Sharks' overall game has improved, but they need to stop attributing it to the fighting slash bullshit and more to basic execution. I mean, I think you can have a little bit of both ways as long as you don't go overboard with the physicality too much, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and I agree. I don't think the team is in any way better because of fighting or necessarily Gabriel being in the lineup. I think it's all kind of a cycle, or like what's the word? It feeds down to the play of the team when you feel more like a team, more like a unit. And I think just going back to that Shimek hit when he took that cross check from Marchessault, like how long ago was that now? A month ago.
Yeah.
I think it was just when a team doesn't defend their players. To me, that just means that they're not in it together. Like, I'm not expecting you to be a tough guy, but when you see a player take a dirty hit from someone, especially against your big rival, and it's not a big tough guy, it was Marchessault, like, you go after that person. Like, you just can't accept that. And to me, it showed something about the team that day and in that game. And it's something we had seen for a while where players, I don't think they were willing to stick their neck out for each other. And I think at least some of that has changed, which then feeds into more of a team energy. Players kind of like thinking they'll die for one another, and that sometimes will spiral out and impact play. But I'm not going to say in any way that Gabriel's out there like changing a game or that the physical play is necessarily making this a better team.
Yeah. I mean, it can be better. It can be improved. It can. I mean, yes. Hashtag Teal together, of course. Uh, but you gotta find your spots. You know, what else are you gonna do? You need to get your goal scoring. You got some of it tonight. You had Nieto. I mean, LeBanc, while he took some rough penalties in a little bit over 19 minutes on the night, he did get a goal on there. Evander Kane had a 3-point night, which goes to show, there that that yeah, having others do the I guess the roughing mentality or fighting mentality is like Chris has just put in the chat. Now that it's distracted, him away from all the fighting stuff, now he can concentrate on scoring, which is what the Sharks have him here for. And it paid huge dividends. 3-point night for him. Pulled the Sharks within one late in that game on the power play on that last penalty that Vegas took. So again, definitely some positives. Take Evander Kane 24 minutes though. I've never I don't think I mean he almost beat Brent Burns on time on ice leader for the Sharks, and rare do you see a forward do that, but maybe Evander, if you're hot, you're hot, you just keep going with it, and with everything going on off ice, good on you, man. Keep doing it, man. Stay strong.
Yeah, I think Kane doesn't get enough appreciation for what he's been doing this year on this team. I know a lot of the focus has been on the off ice stuff that you mentioned, and I feel like that's kind of always been the case with Kane. It just kind of trails him. But on this team, there's always these talks about his contract long term and how it's going to hold the Sharks back. He has definitely put those conversations to bed for at least this season. He is absolutely, I'd say, probably been our best player. He's been lights out, especially for the last month.
Yeah. So we want to welcome those of you who finished watching Brody and Curtis to over here on Teal Town After Dark. Join on in. We have a super chat going on. We appreciate each and every one of you. Super chat donations are welcome. Of course, if you want your favorite segment, you can Venmo us at Teal Town USA. because I know deep down inside you all like your favorite segment, and we'll even get you a Barracuda update, Kevin, if need be, because we like some optimism in some sort of way. Would be nice. But now you come back home for a big 4-game homestand against a team that you've played fairly well against with St. Louis. And honestly, and I hate to say that P word, but if there's any chance at playoffs, you need to get a couple wins against the Blues in those lovely reverse retros that somebody was rocking earlier.
Yeah, it's another one of the most hated teams, at least for Sharks fans over the last few years. But
Right.
yeah, it's just continuing the tough stretch of games. But they are the team in the final playoff spot right now in the division. So, I mean, if you can pick up some points against them, that's always a positive. But yeah, I'm on the fence still as to whether I think the Sharks should be doing that or not. But it should be another spirited series.
It's tough to try and figure out. I mean, you're not going to have fans in the stands. I mean, I highly doubt it. I know we're making good turns onto having it be that way, but you know, but do you go for the tank? Do you go for that? It's kind of like you're there. And I think I saw in the chat earlier. This team isn't bad. This team isn't good. They're just there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's some of the problem. I don't know if, well, we've seen that we're not bad enough to probably finish in that worst spot or second to the worst spot in the league because you have Anaheim, you got Detroit, you got Buffalo. Those are some disastrous teams. But
Buffalo.
yeah, right. And then you have us. We're kind of in that no man's land. We have some really good players, some players who are on the way up. I've said it this whole season that I think this is a year where you have to, as a fan, be realistic and kind of look for that top draft pick. I mean, whether it comes via winning the lottery or just finishing in a worse position, but this is a transition year, and there's no better year for it to happen with no fans in the stands. I mean, and a shortened season, so you don't have to sit through an 82-game painful season. The only other issue, though, is this year's draft isn't supposed to be one of the stronger drafts. So you kind of got that. And plus, with the scouting and the league's not playing as many games they normally do, some leagues haven't even played a game. It's going to be tough for team scouting groups to really gauge who the top prospects are. And there is no consensus number one this year. So it's kind of a tough position, but I do think a top pick should be the target for the Sharks right now.
Yeah, and after selecting all forwards in the 2020 draft, where do you go? I mean, do you try to find defense? Do you try to find goaltending? I mean, they are high on oh my gosh, why Hasnachuk. Um, you know,
I know there's a Swedish goalie that's supposed to go in the top half of the first round, but I'm always skeptical about choosing goalies in the draft. So not that wouldn't be my pick. This is supposed to be a more depthful draft for defensemen, which could benefit the Sharks, even though we have some prospect depth there.
right.
But I mean, it's still pretty early. Some of the seasons are just starting. I know the WHL just kicked off a few weeks, I think 2 weeks ago. The OHL hasn't played, so there's still going to be a lot of changes, I think, with these next few months as to who really is the top prospect or so.
Yeah, and there's a lot of prospects coming up. I know a lot of fans, and I think especially on our Discord, are really excited for Thomas Bordelot out of University of Michigan. I know Ozzy Weisblatt, as you said, the WHL just started in the with oh gosh, why can't I think of the team? Prince Albert in the WHL. He was off to a good start. Even Jasper Weatherby from North Dakota, who's been around the college game for a bit, has shown some promise. Uh, you know, so we'll speaking of prospects, and of course, when we do this live, it kind of changes things up. But I'm gonna bring in Kevin Lacey here as he'll give us a brief recap on the night that was for the San Jose Barracuda, who essentially, finally, got to play a home game, a true home game, and I know Kevin messaged me beforehand during, I think it was like the first Barracuda goal, and Kevin, are you with us? Maybe not. Bueller. There we go. Kevin, are you with us, bud?
Hang on a sec here.
All right, you get to that. I think Jessica did a donation for the wraparound, so we'll get into that while Kevin gets set up here. And Mark, since you're on the East Coast, you can kind of help us out with the East really quick, and maybe even the North for that matter, as the Canucks won in the shootout 3-2 over Ottawa. Thatcher Demko with the victory there for the Canucks. But how about those Rangers, Mark? Holy crap!
Yeah, I live now a block from the stadium, and the fans are pretty happy coming out of MSG tonight. But yeah, what's his name? Mika Zibanejad. What a night for him. He had scored, I think, 3 goals all season, and then he scored 3 goals tonight in, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of play. So maybe he's getting some of that game back from last season, because last season he was lethal with the puck. But Rangers, yeah, that was an absolute smashing of the Flyers tonight.
And the thing of it with the Rangers game was that the coaching staff got pulled for coronavirus protocol, and thus the Hartford coaching staff plus GM Chris Drury ended up being the coaches. So if you're a Rangers player and you want to impress your GM, who's right there on the bench, that's what you got to do.
Right.
9-0.
9-0. As I try to get all the names on here, because I was not expecting to have Kevin Lacey on. Kevin?
Neither was I. I messaged you guys in the chat saying, you need to talk for another 20 minutes because I'm about to go for my first Peloton ride now that it finally arrived. And I got, I don't know, 40 seconds into my ride, and then I hear, if you want to talk about the Barracuda, Kevin, ... And I'm like, all right, let me turn on Skype. So here I am, guys. I've gone 1.5 miles so far, and my average speed's about 15 miles an hour. I'm taking it light, so
all right.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. See, we are a multi-purpose program here, folks. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh boy, this is gonna be fun.
Either that, or I'm just really staggering because it's St. Patrick's Day, and I've had a couple of Guinnesses, one or the other. But hey, it looks like I'm sort of getting into frame here.
There you go. Maybe lean over to the left a little bit. There you go.
Lean to the left. That's not what the Peloton told me to do. It says be center at all times.
Oh,
but
well.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about the San Jose Barracuda, which means one thing only. We have the cool intro.
Ooh, Barracuda.
So the San Jose Barracuda took on the Bakersfield Condors tonight. It's their, what would you say, their third home opener of the season, Kevin?
Well, they got their first game at SAP Center on what's today? Wednesday. So last night.
That's right. They played last night against Bakersfield.
They have played twice as many games at Solar for America as they have at SAP Center. So it is a homecoming of sorts. And nice to get a win on home ice in front of all those people. I kind of liked the audio that was playing. It's hard to podcast and cycle at the same time, I must admit. It's a little... I think doing the podcast is more winding, to be honest. Anyway, I liked the sound effects they had of the crowd. Like, it felt like walking by a hockey arcade game that just plays sound effects while you're playing at the pizza parlor or something. But Yeah, that AHL TV is something else. I'll tell you what. But let's actually talk about the game, guys. Barracuda won 4-3. They really, in the third period, this whole series has been about momentum, and the Barracuda got a 3-goal lead in the third period. Bakersfield, right after Joachim Blichfeld scored to make it 4-1, Bakersfield scored twice, back-to-back in 28 seconds to make it 4-3. But Josip Kornash was the man. He's been fantastic these last couple of games, and I think it looks like he learned something from his last taxi squad call-up, because his rebound control is better. He's not overplaying pucks. He looks like the goalie that the Sharks and Barracuda had the first half of his rookie year when he was an AHL All-Star. So Kornash has really come on strong. It was the final. Sorry, I really am getting winded talking and cycling at the same time.
We'll let you go after this. Oh boy.
But this was the fourth straight game against Bakersfield, and Bakersfield was coming into the series on a 6-game winning streak. The Barracuda hung in there. The first game was lousy. The next 2 games were okay, but again, losses. Hard luck loss in the third game last night because the Barracuda gave up a goal in the final minute and then lost it overtime. So that was a tough one, but the Barracuda were able to overcome Bakersfield. 9-game winning streak is over. And of course, the Condors got quite sour about that at the end of the game. But nevertheless, San Jose 4, Bakersfield 3. On to Henderson for the first 2 official games ever against the Silver Knights. And then, of course, after those 2 games, 2 more against Bakersfield, because apparently we're not done with them. So
it's the crazy COVID schedule that we live in. Kevin, we'll let you get back to your workout. Thank you very much for doing this. And take care, and make sure you get some water, or some Gatorade so you don't dehydrate. All right.
Yeah, for sure. I got 2.5 miles done now, so I got a mile on the air with you guys. So yeah, thanks for having me. I'm sorry this looks very weird on the YouTube if you guys are watching it, but hope you got a kick out of it anyway.
A new kick to the show, Mark. We'll have to get our own Pelotons and kind of just go, back and forth and. Come on, Peloton. Welcome to Peloton After Dark, all right? So
actually, public service announcement real quick.
Oh boy.
I'm glad that this came right now because Silver Creek Sportsplex is starting to open up with some activities again here soon. So, no public skates or scrimmages or anything like that, but it looks like practices are going to be opening up. I think they actually already have as of this week. So, we're going to try and get some rink time in and see what we can do. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, all the best to you, Kevin. Take care.
Thanks.
Get up that uphill now. All right, come on, let's go.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Okay, wait, no, that's way too much. All right, let's get him out of here. Thank you, Kevin. Did you get that on your regular podcast? I don't think so. All right. So moving on. Yes. To the wraparound. Jets 4. Canadians 3 in overtime. Nikolai Ehlers with the game-winning goal. Kyle Connor with 2 goals in this one. And then, of course, the Kings beat the Blues 4-1 in L.A. So that will do it. Oh, boy. So, standings-wise, Mark, and this is where it gets tough. So, Sharks are at 25 points. They're in 7th place right now. 4th place is St. Louis at 33. So, these two games, again, are very critical to the Sharks going forward.
Yeah, it's a critical opportunity to try and gather points on that final playoff spot. We also have a couple games at hand with St. Louis, so let's just say we do win both these games. That puts us at 29. They have 33, and then we'll still have 2 games on hand with them. So if you're into the playoff push, this is definitely an opportunity here to get some of those points back.
Yeah, and very crucial to have them lose in regulation as opposed to shootout, which seemed like it was very in vogue for the Sharks to do early on this season. You have LA at 30, Arizona at 28 that are kind of in between, or kind of sandwiched between San Jose and St. Louis. So a big one coming on this weekend and going forward, following up. I think LA comes to town for the first time this season next Monday and Wednesday. So we'll do that. But it is what it is, and the Sharks had a chance to get some points out of this one, but they turn up short. And Vegas wins 5-4. I'm not even gonna look at that. But in case you missed anything, or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that subscribe button. SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and of course, always available at tealtownusa.com. So, with that, we'll bring to a close of this edition. Mark, thank you. I know this was last minute for you to jump on in. I appreciate you immensely. And I'm sure you could still hear them celebrating because of Binge Ads. I think it was a 6-point night. So I hope you had fun with hearing the cars in that one while basking in the nightmare that was the Sharks falling apart in the third period. But you're fun. I'm sorry?
Great. It was a great night until that third period.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. Mark, your final thoughts on where the people can find you.
People can find me on Twitter, Mark SJS. Final thoughts. I'm still just enjoying watching hockey.
Yes.
They're the worst thing in the world, and I'm trying to keep a positive outlook for this season. It's not ideal, but I'm just trying to enjoy watching some hockey and hoping for the best.
That's all we can do, right? We kind of expected the season to be rough. Maybe they sneak in, but who knows how things will turn about. And that's the fun part about watching the sport that we love. I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. Honestly, I tweeted out earlier I should have stayed in the MRI machine for my back. I think the Sharks did their best play of hockey in there, as much as it was freaking me out. But, oh boy, we'll be back with you on Friday night following Sharks and Blues. They'll be back in their reverse retro jerseys. That game, remember, folks, it is a 6 p.m. start out here on the West Coast. 9 o'clock for Mark, which means he might actually fall asleep at a decent time while watching his Sharks. So we'll be back. Am I good, David H? I'm hoping. We'll find out. We'll find out. If not, I'll definitely be on here a lot more often. That's for sure. But, gang, I know it's tough. It's never been easy. For longtime Sharks fans, it's always been tough to get through some of these losses. You just got to hang in there. So, for Mark and for everybody here, thank you very much for watching. We'll be back with you Friday. And until next time, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. The conversation continues now on Discord, and we'll see you over there, and we'll see you after the game on Friday. Have a great night, everyone. Take care.